This episode, I'm with Kevin Harrington, the GOAT of the infomercial.
Meet Kevin Harrington.
With over 500 products launched and generating over $5 billion in product sales in over 100 countries, Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, as seen on TV Pioneer and original shark on the Emmy Award-winning TV show Shark Tank. Kevin creates massive brands by combining great products with superstar talent like Kim Kardashian, 50 Cent, Kathy and Paris Hilton, Kris Jenner, CeeLo Green, George Foreman, Montel Williams, Jack LaLanne, Flo Rida, Hulk Hogan, Billy Mays, Paula Abdul, and Tony Little. Kevin has been featured on 2020, CNN, Fox Business, Bloomberg, MTV, Good Morning America. Kevin has appeared on stage for organizations like AT&T, Microsoft, Humana, 3M, FedEx, Auburn University, Harvard, and MIT.
Everyone wants to be great, but only few actually get there. And I'm on a mission to find out what all the greatest have in common. I've traveled tirelessly to find, sit down, and talk with GOATs, people that are arguably the greatest of all time at what they do. Sales, marketing, advertising, business, podcasts, branding, you name it. The way they do things may be different, but they all seem to see the world the same way. To them, success is not only achievable, but inevitable. And we'll get inside their heads as they share their expertise with me each week. My name's Mike Arce, and this is The GOAT Show. Kevin Harrington is recognized as one of the best salespeople of all time. And one of his mentors was Zig Ziglar, who has also been an influence to hundreds of thousands of business owners and salespeople for decades. Kevin teamed up with the Ziglar family to share incredible, never-before-seen content and put it all in one place for the best sales training program yet. To learn more, go to getsalesecrets.com. Again, that's getsalesecrets.com. And I also have to share my experience with ClickFunnels. If you've been living under a rock and haven't heard of them, they're hands down the #1 platform for building landing pages and marketing funnels. I've been using them since 2015, and it's so crazy how easily my team and I create landing pages using their proven templates and easy drag and drop system. Without any design or coding experience whatsoever, we've been able to create hundreds of landing pages within minutes that look great and close sales better than anything we've used in the past. They're great for webinar funnels, sales funnels, demos, squeeze pages, you name it. I can't even imagine my business doing as well without them. And actually right now, they're offering a free 14-day trial if you go to clickfunnelspromo.com. So I definitely recommend you guys take advantage of that 14-day trial. It's free for 14 days, and you can get it at clickfunnelspromo.com. Hello everybody, I'm Mike Arce and welcome back to another episode of The GOAT Show. And today I'm here with Kevin Harrington. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Mike, great to be here. Thanks for coming in, man.
I've been I've been wanting to chat with you about, everything we're going to talk about today for months, and it's been so hard to get in your schedule. I think we were supposed to initially do this a long time ago at James Mountjack's event.
Oh, I remember, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's so cool to be here, and your space is awesome. So
thanks for coming in, man.
It's actually worked out better.
Great to hang out.
Yeah, so you've done so many things, and it was so difficult for me to decide on what you're going to be the GOAT of, because in reality, you've really mastered so many different parts of business, which is why you're doing so well. So I want to start with just a few things, and then we'll kind of lead into what you're working on today.
Great.
Because that's probably one of the more exciting things out of everything. So first, you're one of the original Shark Tank guys.
Yes.
That's kind of like how people really started seeing your face more and more and more, right, in today's modern era. So how did that even begin?
So it's funny because I spent 30 years behind the camera in the world of infomercials, right? Filming the Tony Little fitness guys, Tony Little and Jack LaLanne in the juicer and George Foreman and kind of all these kind of products.
People that everyone knows, right?
Yeah, I mean Billy Mays. I love all those kind of things. So I would go to all kinds of trade shows. I go to the houseware show, the hardware show. I did about 30 trade shows a year, and I still, like last week I was in Vegas at the hardware show. We launched 2 products there. So we're, I'm constantly still involved in a few products, but the bottom line is that after 30 years behind the camera, one day I get a phone call from Mark Burnett, and it was interesting because at first I thought it was kind of a joke, like, well, wait a minute, the Mark Burnett, he does The Voice and The Survivor and all these shows.
Big time shows.
Big time shows. And I'm like, he's like, hey, I'm doing a new show, and I'm want to see if you'd be interested in coming out and talking to me. And so it's kind of funny because I said to my wife, Mark wants me to come out. He wouldn't tell me what it is. He said it's called Shark Tank, and she's like, yeah, but wait a minute. Don't you know he does all those crazy things to people on that Survivor show? Right. Why do you want to be on Shark Tank, right? So I'm like, you know what? I get you. I wonder what this is all about. Because when you think about the name Shark Tank, it doesn't sound like a business show.
No,
right?
Because he has Survivor. You're thinking this could be real sharks.
They're going to throw us into a tank or something, right? But the reality is that Mark was smart, because Shark Tank came out of a format called Dragon's Den.
Yep,
and Dragon's Den was in England and in Canada. And so there's 5 dragons, there's 5 sharks in the front of the room, people come out and pitch. Obviously that's the format. You have 3 minutes to make up your mind. So whether you're going to invest in that business or not. Well, this was I'm sitting in front of Mark Burnett in his office in LA, and he finally tells me what Shark Tank is. And I said, wait a minute. You mean, so people are going to come out, they're going to pitch, they get 3 minutes, and I get 3 minutes to make up my mind? I said, Mark, I've been doing that for 25 years. He says, what do you mean? I said, that people pitch me. I go to the hardware show. They pitch me all day. They're hardware products. They want me to invest. I say yes or no, or let me get more information. So I said, if that's what you call a shark, I've been a shark for 25 years already, because this is now 10 years ago. But so he said, wow, that sounds pretty cool. So I did a screen test right then, that day that I met him, right in his office, and they rolled the tape, and I just took pitches from people. And when I was done, they said, wow, I can tell you've been doing this for many years, because I knew what to ask. I knew, the bottom line is this: I've taken tens of thousands of pitches over the years, so I know what to look for in a good pitch, and I know what I'm looking for in order to make the investment. So they called me back a week later and said, hey, you're the first shark we've said yes to.
So you were the number one pick.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty fun to understand. First of all, I still didn't know exactly how this thing was going to go down, but I said, I'd be happy to do it. So that was 10 years ago.
And still like a very popular show out there.
Shark Tank is now, this is the beauty of it, it's running in dozens and dozens of countries around the world. Mm-hmm. I was just in Tel Aviv. There's an Israeli Shark Tank version. It's licensed by Mark Burnett, but there's Israeli sharks. There's South African sharks, Mexican sharks, Australian sharks. All around the world, they have local versions of Shark Tank. Right. And then in those markets that they don't actually have the local version, they still run the American version in many countries. Like in India, for example, all the shows that I did are running in India. So on primetime television. So it's become a global brand, and I think it's in hundreds of millions of homes around the world now. The #1 business reality show in the history of television.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a really great show, and I think it's starting to teach people, even though there's so much more to learn about business, the fundamental questions you have to ask, like what are your numbers, and really understanding like the numbers to really focus on, and who the customer is really going to be. You guys dig in on those so often, so frequently, that now starts building value around those things.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Mr. Wonderful is, everyone always asks about Mr. Wonderful, right? And so I just say, he's built his brand on being kind of the tough guy. Mm-hmm. He's done a great job. Kevin O'Leary he's a very smart investor.
Yeah. I want to talk about the infomercial stuff, because you've been behind so many, like you said, Billy Mays and George Foreman and all these guys, right? So what is it that made your system work so well? Why were you so successful, and why did everyone choose you?
So I'll go back to the earliest days, back in the early mid 80s, right? So what made me successful is the people that I first lined up with, they already had a sort of a pitch for their product. So when I met Billy Mays, he was a pitch guy at the fairs. So I sat there and watched him, and I'm watching, there's 20, 30 people surrounding Billy, and Arnold Morris, the knife guy who was doing the Ginsu, and there's 20 people, 10 of them were buying. And I'm like, wait a minute, I just, then I watched them again, 20 new people, 10 of them would buy. And so my mentality was, okay, if they're able to get 10 out of 20 right in front of them to purchase, what happens if we take it to 10 million?
Give them a bigger platform.
Right? So I said, let's put it on television. So all I did literally was turn the camera on and captured what they had spent years developing, which was their perfect pitch to sell their product. So Billy Mays, Tony Little, Arnold Morris, the knife guy, right? These people had spent years developing their pitch for their products, and I just literally kind of turned the camera on and made it happen. But just my whole thing was taking it then to the masses.
Wow.
And not only in the United States, but we took it into the international markets, also Europe, Latin America, Middle East, Asia, etc. So that was the early days. We were able to just capture some of the best people that had the best pitches.
Yeah, and so that makes so much sense, right? Because infomercial, you're basically watching what you know is already going to be on TV and then just blasting it out. Shark Tank, now a little different, right? Because now you're not necessarily looking for a guy that's going to be on TV, but you're looking for what makes a really great partner.
Right.
How do you know you're investing in this person? Is this person designed to be an entrepreneur? Has he prepared himself for
Right,
that?
exactly.
So now in this world, now when you're looking for that, and yeah, Shark Tank, but like you said, you've been doing it for 10 years. So people see you doing it, but you're still doing it today. You just showed me a company that you've invested in, right?
Yeah.
So what do you look for in a person that lets you know this guy's got it or this girl's got it,
Right.
this is going to be great?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I had a battle with O'Leary in one of the segments, and O'Leary said, he made the statement, I invest in the jockey. And I said, I don't invest in the jockey because I know the horse racing business, and any horse trainer will tell you that it's the training of the horse, the doctors, the medical, where they live, how they sleep, and how they're taken care of on a and trained on a day-to-day basis. And then a trainer will tell you can put any jockey on the horse. The point of that is that the jockey is just one part of of winning the race, right? A successful business. And so the entrepreneur is the leader, has to be able to surround himself with a lot of smart people to be successful. Because if you're just the jockey or if you're just the entrepreneur, some of the worst deals that I made on Shark Tank was when I invested in the entrepreneur that was so headstrong, they didn't want to take my advice. They were like, oh, no, thank you for your money, but I'm running the business and I'm going to do it the way I want to do it, right? And by the way, then the money was gone, and then when they wanted more, I'm like, no, I don't think so. So somebody's got to be able to listen to other people that have some wisdom around them, and especially if I'm going to make the investment, you would think they would want a little more input from me, right? So digital marketing experts, finance experts, operations people, et cetera, et cetera. And I think I learned the hard way as an entrepreneur, I can't do it all. I don't want to do it all. I need to surround myself with what I call a dream team. Yeah. So I invest in entrepreneurs that are willing to understand they need to have a group of experts around them to help build a very successful business.
Very cool.
Yeah.
The numbers part of it, that entrepreneur also needs to understand the business at a dashboard level, like what's happening here, what's happening here. What are some of the questions that you want to ask that person to make sure that they have a good pulse on certain key points of that business?
Several numbers, 3 important numbers. The first one is important. People come on Shark Tank and they want $100,000 for 10% of their company. So the first question I ask, what is the use of proceeds? Mm-hmm. How are you going to use the money? Let's say I just wrote you the check for $100,000. Where are you going to use it? How are you going to deploy it? What are you going to spend it on? And if I don't think they're doing the right thing with the money, like one guy said, well, I'm going to go buy office furniture and copy machines and build out this and that, all physical things, and then the money's gone. So, okay, so now you spent the 100. Well, what about the marketing? Oh, right. Well, you're the shark. Aren't you going to do the marketing? Well, right. I may help you, but you got to have a marketing budget. Oh, well, I'm going to need more than 100 then. Well, already I already know I'm not doing that deal because you spent the $100 on desks and furniture and copy machines.
Non-revenue generating.
And non-revenue generating things. What about the marketing plan?
Right.
A lot of them miss that. So the first thing is use of proceeds. And then what's the marketing plan about? Customer acquisition. Mm-hmm. So that's the second number, the CAC, the customer acquisition cost. We call it a CAC. So I say, what are your use of proceeds? What's your CAC or your customer acquisition cost? If they don't have any idea what it's going to cost them to acquire a customer, sometimes that might be okay if it's a startup. But if they're in business for a while, I know what my customer acquisition in the infomercial business, I know what my CAC is.
Right.
And there's two numbers that you look at there. It's the CAC, and then it's the lifetime value of the customer, mm-hmm. or the average revenue of that lifetime value of that customer. So your customer acquisition cost has to be like this, and the lifetime value has to be like that, mm-hmm. or it doesn't work, because sometimes if the CAC is this much and the lifetime value is that much, you're not making money.
Now, for the people listening that can't see it, right? So let's say your customer acquisition cost is $300.
Right.
Now, obviously, there may be some other variables at play, but generally, what would you like to see the lifetime customer value be?
At least 3 to 4 to 5 times that.
Okay, so $1,200 to $1,500 revenue.
So I want to see a customer acquisition cost in a 20 to 35% range of the lifetime value. And or the lower the better. I mean, if it's 10%, that's even better. Right. But I mean, when we would sell a Tony Little Gazelle, for example, for $300, we would allow up to $100, maybe even $130 for customer acquisition, because we could make money. But if I'm spending $200 to get that customer, and the product cost me $100,
right.
then, and I've got other costs, you're not going to make money at the end of the day. So you've got to have your customer acquisition in line with what the lifetime value is.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the key person of influence, because this is something that you wrote several years ago with Daniel Priestley.
Priestley. Yeah.
And so it's a 5-step method, right?
Yeah.
And we'll actually show that graphic on the screen. I want to make sure people can see. And for those of you guys listening in, make sure you watch too, because we're actually going to have some really good visuals to kind of complement everything that we're talking about. So enjoy the audio while you're enjoying it, but come back to the visual, because it's a really great episode to watch. But why did you get involved in this book? What was the goal here?
So one of the things that I found as an entrepreneur was, first of all, I got on Shark Tank. And literally, I mean, the first week, 250,000 people Google searched my name. Okay, so like wanting to sit with me for a half hour. Right. And I'm like, let's see, and some of the people that would get through to my office would be like, I just need a half hour of Kevin's time. But I mean, literally the phone was just ringing and ringing, because we're on the ABC network, right? Prime time. And so, I'm obviously not going to be able to touch 250,000 people, right? So I said, I have to start putting out product and systems and information and content to these folks. And many of them were saying, can you tell me how I can elevate my business, and what are the steps that I need to do to be more successful? And so that's what becoming a key person of influence is all about. It's sort of, if you think about today's world, and I grew up way back in the days of old media, radio, TV, newspapers, magazines. Nowadays, TV has dropped, viewership's dropped by 50%.
Right.
There's 50 million people that have cut the cord from pay TV, right? Where have they gone? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc., right? So becoming a key person of influence is actually easier today than it was 10 or 15 or 20 years ago.
Right.
And what it means is, like, if you're a realtor, how do you become the person, the go-to person that the banks think of if they've got a foreclosure, or somebody in a ball player moving into town? How do you get your name to be at the top of everybody's list, so to speak? Or if you're a jeweler, or no matter what business you're in, how do you become one of the top industry recognized people, or an industry rock star is another way to say it. So there's some systems and some steps that you can use in doing that. But the bottom line is, it's not necessarily brain surgery what we've created here, but it's a step-by-step plan on how to become that industry rock star in your business.
And to you, it's not brain surgery, right?
Right.
Because to you, it's become, you've been doing it for so long. You've been taking people that, they were great at the festivals, they were great at these conferences,
right.
and then all of a sudden, now everyone knows who Jacqueline is, right? And everyone starts really watching. They know the Ginsu knife. Nobody heard of it, and all of a sudden, it's everywhere.
Right.
People know the infomercials, right?
Right.
Everyone starts knowing it. So for you, it's been something that, you do something enough, it becomes common sense to you.
Yeah.
But for other people, this is kind of rocket science to them. It's almost like, what?
Yeah.
Do I have to get on YouTube? What's that first step look like? You
right.
know? So it's really great that you've been able to put this together. I think it's a really great first step for people.
Yeah.
So going back, right, because now you're not just with this, but so much content that you put out, stuff that you've done on Shark Tank. You do stuff like this for other people as well. I know you were just on Ed Milet's show. You were Billie Jean as well.
Yeah.
So now you're helping mentor people.
Yes.
And but who was your mentor? Like,
hey, that's a great question. I've had a number of mentors in my life. First of all, I was very lucky. My father was my first mentor because he was an entrepreneur. He owned restaurants. And so when I was 11 years old, I started working in the restaurant business and washing dishes and busboy and barback and assistant chef and all kinds of things in the restaurant business. But my father said, own your own business, right? And he said, be an entrepreneur. And so when I was in high school, I started a driveway sealing business. And when I got to college, I started a heating and air conditioning business. And I was doing $1 million a year in business with 25 employees my sophomore year in college, which this is back in the 70s, by the way. Right. So in today's world, that's about $5 million a year in similar financial terms. So while I was taking a full-time, college classes day to day. So my father was my first mentor. Then I actually got involved with a number of other mentors. Zig Ziglar has been a big influence in my life, and I say that when I was a senior in high school, I read his book, See You at the Top. Mm-hmm. And it was all about a mind shift change for me because I was kind of a small-time entrepreneur, just doing some part-time stuff, and that's when I said, I want to do something bigger in it, And so as I followed Zig and then got to know Zig, and Zig ended up becoming, a mentor for me in the sales training areas. And he wrote, his next book was called Secrets of Closing the Sale. Right. And that came out in 1984, which was the year that I started doing infomercials. And so that's when I had to learn how to sell and learn how to, Zig taught me that we were selling a product and the price was here, but if the value was here, this is a really cool one. He said, Kevin, if you don't get the value above the selling price, you're not going to sell the product. And right. Especially when you're on TV, you're not in front of the people, so they're just going to not call or not order. So we said, how do you take the value and increase it? Well, but wait, there's more. We're going to give you some steak knives and a paring knife. And
was that you? Were you responsible for the wait, there's more?
So there's a few of us that claim that, but yeah, we'll say arguably, I'm one of the people that developed that phrase because we called it adding the value stack.
Right.
And there may have been other ways that people said it. Stay tuned because there's going to be more that you're going to get, right? But the bottom line is that yes, that is the industry of as seen on TV, and the value stack is all Zig Ziglar. So Zig was amazing at telling people, salespeople, how to do this, but that was one of dozens of closes that I used from Zig. So I had a chance to get mentored by Richard Branson. So I went down to Necker Island and hung out with Richard for a few days. Wow. One of the things he said is, Kevin, you have helped all these people build their brand. Why don't you build your own brand? And so that was, prior to this book, right. And this is sort of like, now this book is what I learned. This is about building your own personal brand, building your business brand. And it's like, I built Tony Little's, and I never claimed to have built exclusively anybody's brand. I helped build, right? I helped build Tony Little's brand and Billy Mays and Jack LaLanne, et cetera. But I then said, I got to build my brand, and writing a book was part of that process. So from my father to Zig Ziglar to Richard Branson, to Mark Burnett, who was, really a mentor for a number of years for me too, to, help me build my brand also. So I think I'm fortunate to be able to look back and say, I've had some pretty cool people in my life that have helped me take my business and my brand and my, kind of future to the next level.
All the people you mentioned, with the exception of your dad, of course, I've been able to learn from too, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of kids and stuff. Now, I've never gotten to learn from him like you did. I didn't go to Necker Island yet. I didn't get to really work with Zig Ziglar. But listening to his stuff, I mean, Zig he was ahead of his time, and the stuff that he was working on then is still so applicable today.
Exactly.
And I see that I'm on your list, which is awesome.
Right,
I get so much good value out of your stuff.
Thank you.
You started doing stuff with his content.
Yes.
So how did that work out?
So I as Zig passed away 6 years ago, and so Zig was a very modest man. And but he also had never done any social media. So when he passed away, everybody said, how can we leave a tribute to Zig? And the family set up a Facebook page. 4.5 million people came to the Facebook page to leave a tribute to Zig Ziglar.
With old content, nothing fresh,
yes,
no live.
Right. And so I was talking to Julie Ziglar, his daughter, and we were both on stage at an event together. And I said, so how you been, Julie? Your dad is amazing guy and learned so much from him, but what are you doing? What's the family doing? He says, oh, Kevin, wow, if you could help us, we have all these assets, all this content, 31 books, 36 languages, thousands of hours of video and audio and all these different things, but we don't know what to do with it all. And we really, our dad was one of the greatest sales trainers and motivators, but we just don't know what to do with all the assets. So I said, well, I'll tell you what, I think I've got an idea. Let's take it, put in a new company together, and we formed a venture with the Ziglar family, myself, Tom and Julie and Cindy Ziglar, and Mark Tim is another person that became part of this venture, and it's called Top Performance, and the assets of the Ziglar came into an entity for all the digital rights, so that we could then create digital programs. We redigitized everything. We actually have created holograms of Zig Ziglar. And so Zig and I on stage together.
No way.
Teaching. And this is something that we are just about ready to start launching. So maybe we can tell people about that as part of the launch of our G.O.A.T show here. Because this is something that we haven't told the rest of the world about yet. But we actually have some really cool Hollywood technology that is going to put Zig Ziglar right on stage with me at various events around the world.
That is incredible.
Where we're going to bring him out in hologram. So
we've heard that with like Michael Jackson and like some musicians, but nobody's heard that in the business world.
Costs a lot of money to do it, but we're investing in the technology, and we've actually already done it now. So we've seen it, and it looks amazing to have Zig pop up live right there in hologram form on stage.
So now if I'm in the audience, I'm watching, I could see you and I could see Zig on stage. When you're on stage, does it look different for you, or does it look like Zig's right next to you?
Well, it's obviously digital, so but I mean, he's it's kind of three-dimensional, the look and the feel, so it's pretty cool.
That's one of the coolest things I've seen. So, okay, awesome.
So that's what we're doing basically. We the first thing we launched was the Zig Ziglar. We call it a masterclass, but it's Secrets of Closing the Sale masterclass. Okay. That it's 7 modules, 28 videos, and it's Zig and I talk about how we've brought Zig back, and I say back to the future of marketing, because all the things that he did are timeless. The same things I used in all the infomercials for over the years, we're showing people how you can use them in digital marketing today, in today's modern world.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I'm getting your emails, and it's great. It's stuff that I still study him, so it's great to see that refresh over and over, but I forwarded your emails on to people I know don't really know who he is yet, which is craziest to me that, such an icon like that, every entrepreneur doesn't know. So yeah, you've done a great thing by bringing all that back and putting it together. The hologram thing is absolutely insane. I can't wait to see that, and hopefully you can let me know right away as soon as the event is, so I can go to that.
Yes.
Because that's probably the first time a business icon has been put up on stage as a hologram.
I've seen it. You mentioned Michael Jackson. A lot of the Hollywood types, they're investing in that. But as far as I know, this is groundbreaking.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin, listen, you spent a lot of time with me already. I really appreciate it. And there's so much more we can learn from you. I wish I had like a full day. So hopefully we can come back and do this again sometime. You've got a great book out there. You've got some great programs that you're running. Is there anything else that, I mean, how can people follow you? How can people learn more about you?
So yeah, I think bottom line is this, number one, I love entrepreneurs. I was one of the co-founders of the Entrepreneurs Organization, 1987.
EO?
EO.
I'm a part of EO.
So Vern Harnish, myself, Ted Leonsis, who owns the Washington Capitals hockey team, we all got together and put some money into an account and kicked off what was YEO in the beginning, Young Entrepreneurs Organization, that had turned into EO, and it's the largest entrepreneurial organization in the world. So I've been doing that now for 30 years, empowering entrepreneurs. I continue to do that, but now I empower and invest in entrepreneurs. So I'm always looking for good folks to come along and show me some new opportunities, and I've got a couple dozen companies that I'm involved with. So it's part of being a shark, I guess, is always looking for the next deal. But that's why I'm excited to be here today on your show, and wish you the best of luck continuing to keep coming out with new GOAT shows. And it's kind of cool to be called a GOAT now, right? So
you are, man, you are. And like I said, you could have been the GOAT of a few things. And we've actually had Vern Harnish on the show too.
Vern's cool.
Yeah, I mean, so much wisdom. He's another guy I felt like I could just talk to for hours. That's a cool thing when you interview people that really have just had so many mentors and gained so much along the way. It's almost like it's like a time runs out so fast. 30 minutes, 40 minutes goes by so quick, and I just feel like I never get enough. So I appreciate that, and I'm sure you feel like that with so many other people you've got to meet along the way too.
Thank you.
Well, you can follow you as Kevin Harrington, right?
Kevin Harrington. Just Google me. KevinHarrington.tv is my website. That's got everything.
Cool. And we'll have all your handles visually up here as well. Everything that he talked about, everything we talked about today is going to be in the show notes page as well. For everybody watching, for everybody listening, we just spent a great amount of time with a GOAT. Hope you guys had as much fun as I did, and we will see you next week.
Thanks for joining us today. If you like this episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel or find our podcasts on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever your favorite place to listen to podcasts might be. And if you really like this episode, please leave a review for us on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you next week.